Well, hello again, and welcome back to the Wives Club. My name is Margaret Brown, and I'm just like you. I am a patron of Mr. Kevin Samuels, and I'm just an average woman who booked a session with Mr. Samuels to ask permission to set up a private community within the Patreon group for like minded women and marriage minded women. So I am thrilled that he has given us permission. He's actually come up with the name The Wives Club. So we are here for current wives and former wives and future wives. I just want to do my part to improve our ethnic image, to increase and improve our outcomes. So if you're interested in having a conversation real time, please reach out. What we do here is we use Kevin's shows as a lesson plan to go over our lessons learned, action items that we can take. I share some mistakes that I've made, and again, would love to hear your thoughts. So let's go ahead and get started. Last night, Kevin was on Instagram, and the title of the show, I have some notes here, Taboo Topics, and I got a little confused with the Andre 3000 reference within the title. But if you watch the show, I'm sure you'll understand what he was talking about. A really interesting show, almost painful to watch at some points, but I've got 10 things that were my lessons learned. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, number one, Kevin is really hitting it hard with, calling out a couple things that are taboo topics. He's been a stickler about our fitness as Black women. And then he's also talking about out of wedlock births and the problem with it becoming normalized. Ladies, this is hard to hear, but it's true. Children born within a marriage, have a legitimacy that when you have a child outside of a marriage, it's just harder to establish. It just is. Um, if it happens, it happens. We all make mistakes. Let's just try not to repeat mistakes. And more often, more importantly, I think let's make sure that we continue to prioritize marriage and the traditional family structure, whether you're in that situation now or not. I forgot to say a little bit about me. I am 45. I'm in the Atlanta area, and I was married for 10 years at the age of 25. So I am a former wife. I have two children from the marriage, two boys, a high schooler and a middle schooler. And since the divorce, I've been in another 10-year relationship with a high value man. All right. So number two. Kevin is talking about, some of the things that he's posted on Instagram and some of the responses that he has gotten. And some of the loudest responders don't even seem like they're interested in relationship. When he talks about having children, but not being married, or our, obesity epidemic. He said that the women that are talking, some of the loudest are the ones that say, I don't need a man. And then some of the men that are the harshest critics, have given up on marriage. I would offer, and I still, believe that there's hope for those of us in the middle. And that's what I want to promote here, especially for ladies like myself, who sometimes are shouted down when you try to speak in public forums. But this is going to be a safe space within the Wives Club to promote marriage mindedness. Okay, number three. Kevin was talking about the TikToks that he's seen, and I haven't seen the one with the 600-pound woman, but there are a lot of videos where, women have clearly let themselves go, and they're making, self-affirming videos, and then people are coming in the comments, giving them, encouragement. And I understand wanting to encourage people, but we can't encourage bad behavior, even if it's, our own. We have to own up to it, right? We've been talking about self-awareness. So, I always say the internet is forever. And, if marriage is a market and you want marriage one day, consider, my note here says that Kevin says you're on the market when you post. You're basically putting it out there to be evaluated, to be commented on, to be liked, and maybe even disliked vehemently. So one of the things that I've done, I am a social person, but I've changed the content to be more homemaking, new recipes that I've tried, some mom struggles with the kids, but I 100% stopped saying anything about my relationship. And I'm always very modest online because that's kind of how I am. That's just genuinely me. Okay, number 4. I took a note here and I've forgotten it. I have wife and everything else. I can't remember. I was just feverishly taking notes. But, Kevin was talking about when can men step in and say anything if it concerns them. I stand on the belief that men have a right to make their offer and state their requirements. And then we as women, we can agree with that or not, but we have to be really careful about wanting to censor people or shut them down if they don't like what we, have to offer. Um, Not everybody is for everybody. So, if you want to be loud and proud and you have a man that wants somebody more quiet and supportive, allow him to have his preference because you have yours. All right, number 5. This one really touched me. Kevin talked about, men making comments often because they actually care. And ladies, we've got to look at men, like Kevin says, as sentient beings, right? They're real people too with feelings and emotions. And it does hurt our community and it does hurt our ethnic image. I've shared about how the first time I was recognized out in public as Marcus's mom, and my kids weren't with me. It changed me forever. So I'm always very mindful about how I carry myself for myself, but then also, what I represent as a mother, even as a former wife, and, hopefully a future wife again one day. Um, the example that came to mind, living in the Atlanta area, if you've ever visited here, if you're from here, you know why people call it the Black Mecca, right? It's a city that attracts a lot of professionals, and it's maybe the most or one of the most areas for affluent African Americans. And when you are in this area, you think that this is normal. And when you travel outside of the area, you're kind of like, wow, we really have it special here. The converse is true. It's charming to me when people who aren't from the Atlanta area, you come here and just driving around. I mean, you've seen Kevin make the videos. You'll see every type of vehicle, and not only the athletes and entertainers, but you have professionals, you have, everything. And people, do very well for themselves here. The point I'm making is that if you're not used to seeing that, even if you don't come from that, it brings a certain amount of pride, right? When when I have service people come to the home, they usually get around to asking me, is this your house? And how long have you lived there? And I say, oh yeah, I bought it in 2010. And, whatever the history is, but they're kind of like, man. So the converse is true, meaning when we show up raggedy out there, it affects all of us. And I want more for our community. I want more for myself and I want more for my boys as a boy mom. So just keep that in mind. Men actually do care. Okay, number 6, Kevin was talking about that 600-pound TikTok again. And he said that, oftentimes when women are in the comments congratulating you, they're secretly laughing at you because they know no man is going to take you seriously. And ladies, it's sad, but it's true. What do they say? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But, people are always watching and it is competitive out there, whether you want to participate or not. I used to fall into just trying to find something positive to say just to be helpful, but it's not helpful if it's perpetuating bad behavior. So what I've done and what I'm, you know, suggesting is that if we don't have anything positive to say nothing. And that's one of the things that I've started to do. Okay, number 7. Kevin talked about, oh, dear God, the young woman that called and was challenging him and saying that her faith and her manifestation was going to get her what she wanted. Y'all, I am a Christian, but I'm just about burned out on, the predictable rhetoric that comes from our churches. I love the word and I love the worship, but it has blinded so many of us, young and old, like Kevin said, from doing the actual work. And God gives you the tools and, he makes a way for us, but we have to step into it. I don't want to take a turn here and, sound critical, but, faith alone is not enough. Number 8, Kevin asked a very poignant question to the second sister who called in, who had 3 different children by 3 different men. And she said she had all these aspirations about being wealthy. And Kevin asked her, do your children need you to be rich? And the answer, y'all, is no. Our children need us to be normal. And I really liked what Kevin said. Coming up, it's usually you want to do what your parents have done and then a little bit more. I've told you guys, I come from humble beginnings and my parents are immigrants. So the fact that I have, a corporate office job, I'm winning. Um, I don't have the aspirations to be a kabillionaire, but so many of us do. And that's fine, like Kevin said, when you're a child and when you're dreaming. But when you become an adult and when you have people who are you're responsible for, it's time to really settle into, what's probable and not just possible. Okay, number 9. Kevin talked about dreaming versus waking up. I think the same thing too. We've got to get our head out of the clouds. The truth hurts, but the truth is healing. And ladies, I will offer this, when it comes to men, especially high value men. They're very practical. I mean, men in general, we love all men here, high value, men of means, and average men. Men are very logical. They take the information and they make decisions based on the information. Women are very emotional. We judge things based on how we feel. Neither is better or worse. Both are necessary. But when you are a woman and you've been raised by women and you're surrounded by women and you don't really listen to a man at all, you can really live in a world that when you meet a logical person or a practical person like Kevin is, you will seem beyond reasonable. And I think that's what we all saw on the show. And then number 10, Kevin told the young lady, you need some structure. And ladies, we all do, for the reasons that we've already talked about, but we need each other. And, again, I will offer, men are so incredibly valuable. So if you have a man or you have a man that you want, let him know that. I let my man know all the time, what I love about him. And I give specific examples. And one of the things that I've started to say recently is I am so appreciative that I have your ear and I'm able to run things by you and get your perspective. Even if you're not in a relationship with a man, try to ask men the same questions that you would ask your girlfriends and see what they say, because you might be surprised at their perspective. It's so incredibly valuable. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanksgiving is coming up. I've been out and about running some errands and getting all the supplies. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And stay tuned. This weekend, we'll have another panel show. Again, if you'd like to join us, please reach out. But until then, I'll see you guys later.